Let's now write a program and get a better idea of how constructors and destructors work. The requirement is to find the elements of motion based on the general formula, distance equals speed multiplied by time. Use the features of constructor, destructor, and constructor overloading. So here is the program code, and this is the class named motion. We have declared two double-type variables, distance and time. Then we have the public access declaration. Next is the motion function, which is the default constructor function of this class named motion. It's defined outside the class here. This function prompts the user to enter the values for distance traveled and time taken. It then computes the speed of travel and prints it. On line 8 we have our first overloaded constructor function. It will be passed with two parameters, an integer and a double value. It is also defined outside the class here. This function calculates the distance traveled by working with values of time and speed that are passed into this function from the main program. Next in the class is declared another overloaded constructor function, which carries two double parameters. It's defined here. This function calculates the time taken by working on speed and distance traveled that are passed into this function from the main program. Finally, the class has destructor function, preceded by the tilde symbol. It is also defined outside the class. It's here. This function demonstrates how memory allocated for variables declared in the class are deleted or deallocated. Program control now enters the main function. On line 39, we instantiate an object named speed of the class motion. So the object named speed is created. When an object is created, its constructor function automatically gets executed. Here, since speed is an object of the class motion, the motion function is executed automatically. This function prompts the user to enter a value for distance traveled in kilometers. I enter 120. It's stored in the variable distance. The function then prompts for time taken in hours. I enter 3. It's stored in the variable time. In the constructor function, on line 16, the program calculates speed of travel and has the value printed onto output screen. In program code, the control now shifts to line 40, where a new object, time, of the class motion, is instantiated. It is passed with two parameter values, 62.5 and 205.5. Both these are decimal values. Hence, the overloaded constructor function with two double values as parameters will be invoked. The two parameter values, 62.5 and 205.5, are copied to the overloaded function and assigned to the carrier variables, AA and B. Speed and distance are printed. Time taken is computed and printed on output screen. In program code, the control next shifts to line 41, where another new object, distance, of the class motion, is instantiated. It is passed with two parameter values, 3 and 58.5. First one is an integer, and the other is a decimal. Hence, the overloaded constructor function with an integer and a double value as parameters will be invoked. The two parameter values, 3 and 58.5, are copied to the overloaded function and assigned to carrier variables, int a and B. Time taken and speed of travel are printed. Distance traveled is computed and then printed onto output screen. The program ends. It's here that the destructor function works. Check lines 32 to 36. We have asked to delete the memory spaces allocated for variables, distance, and time. Can you guess how many times the destructor will work? It is 3 times, because we have created 3 objects from the class, and the destructor function works for each one of the created object. I hope you enjoyed it. So what did we learn from this program? We learned to use the constructor and destructor functions. We also learned to overload the constructor function to perform different operations. We used the constructor function to either find the speed, or to find the distance traveled, or to find the time taken to travel.